The bevel tool has a few various options to it, almost enough to split it into a couple videos, but I think we can smash it together in one. So first off, we're here in object mode. We're going to get into edit mode. This is not the bevel modifier that we looked at briefly in one of the early videos. So in edit mode, the short and sweet of this is you would pick typically, let's say, an edge. So I went to edge select mode. I grabbed that edge and you hit Control B. Control B, and now you start to bring the mouse, the cursor out, and you see we get a bevel. And that's basically that, you see. But what I could do is I could get various other elements, and you can do them all at the same time. So it's probably pretty obvious from like what we did before. I could hold down Shift and I can get a few of these edges, and then I could bevel those like so. And notice what it does to the corners there, you see. So where it merges together, we get that triangle. Now watch this though. So I can also hit A again. So A is everything, and then hit bevel, and now I can do the whole entire cube. So this is very similar to what we saw with the bevel modifier, so much so to where you might go, well, what's the difference? Remember, we're in edit mode and this is the mesh. So if I do this and I go to wireframe mode, I've changed it. So this is destructive. So consider that. Does that matter to you? Whether or not, that's, depends upon what you're making. Then watch this next one. So now I'm going to hit A to get everything again. And now I'm going to go Control Shift B and then bring it out. And look what's going on. I have selected everything and I'm now in vertex bevel mode. So I'm not getting all the edges, just all the edges and vertices. I'm getting just the vertices themselves. So that could be very helpful if you wanted to create a shape like this. Okay, so now watch this. So I can go back to line selection mode, and I'll pick this, and I'll just hit Control B, so we'll stick with the basic one. It would bring this out, and then I can scroll the mouse wheel, and then I can get more subdivisions. Again, this was looked at really briefly in a couple different of the early videos. So that's how that works there, but now watch again. I can now come down here on most of the tools that are like this. The first click, until you click away, down here in the bottom left corner, you're going to see a menu. And some of these, the screencast keys are in the way, some of these are quite elaborate in the detail that they can provide. So here is the width right there. Here's my segments. I can control those. I could type in something specific. This is pretty nice if you want to do several different bevels, but you want them all to be the same and you don't have to worry about, don't want to worry about scrolling the mouse wheel. Look at this. All right, so that could be interesting. And a few more options. I will show you this because I think that this is particularly interesting. If I scroll this up and I'll turn this sideways, come down here to custom. This might blow your mind a little bit. I get this curve editor here, and there's my flat bevel. It goes to flat because we're on custom. And now watch, I grab a point, and then I make a point, and now I have that. So now imagine I hit all, and I want to do a point modifier. So I bring this in, missed it, and I get that one. And remember our custom curve that we just selected? Look at that. So I think that is fairly spectacular. Once you create this, it remembers what you did, and you might not want that, and you might have to set it back to defaults, but that is pretty damn cool, I think. Then, by the way, if you do want to reset all of that craziness because Blender remembers what you did last time, if you shut it down and open it back up, it'll forget it right here and go back to defaults. But if you wanted to continue working, here's what it should be set at. Super ellipse, and if you're wangling the shape all out of control here, remember 0.5 is the default. It says 0.5 equals round. It doesn't necessarily tell you it's the default, but that's what it should be. And then the typical behavior, just like the regular bevel will round an edge out with multiple segments when you increase it, this will round that out. So this right here, that's the typical norm, okay? Then one last one on this part here that's kind of neat. If you go ahead and we'll do another point bevel. So we're selecting all, Control Shift B, bring this out, scroll back to just one segment, do that, done. Now all again, now just Control B to make a bevel on every edge that exists. Now look at this. This could be a really interesting effect. So now I've got that. I could increase the segments a little bit if I wanted to round this all out. And now I have got an interesting looking shape like this. So those are the main points. Now I want to show you a little bit more on how and when to use this, or how to use it in certain circumstances. So let's say I had this shape right here, and maybe like we did before, we do something like this. We pick this top face and then we scale this out. And then I decide that I want to do, let's see what we did before. We do a little inset and then we extrude this down and then we scale it in like this, right? So I've got this look here and I want to bevel some edges around here. I want to clean it up. Maybe I want this kind of sharp, except remember what I said before, that things are not ever really, really sharp. So there always going to be a little bevel. Whether or not you do that with a modifier or something else later down the road, you know, up to you. But for right now, I want to pick those edges. So I'll go to Edge Select Mode and I'll hold down Alt so I can get this whole loop around here. Control B to bevel. Bring that out just a tiny little bit and then scroll back because maybe I just want a little bit of kind of a chamfered look there. You decide. There, okay? So then watch this. So we're going to go in here and we're going to grab this inside edge. We'll hold down Alt and we'll try to select it, but it's not going to work, right? So watch, we click this and I still only get the line. So then you get a little bit confused. So you come up here, pick this one, I'll hold down Alt and it goes ahead and runs around. It did the one outside here. It did the one outside here. Interesting. Why doesn't it do the one inside there? Well, this is going to be a topic for another video, but I will tell you it's because we're hitting what we call a pole. And this is going to be anything that doesn't have, to put it simply, anything that doesn't have 4 lines coming out of the point that is in this corner. So for example, okay, this is going to sound super weird as probably everything else, but this point right here, as this line gets into this point, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 coming out. If you have got 3 or 5 or anything more than 5, it's not going to work. And these are going to be reasons that we can solve later down the road. So for now, if I want to pick these here, I have to hold down Shift and I'll pick each one separately. That wasn't the point of what I wanted to show you here. So I grab each one of these, I roll this around, and now I hit Control B to make a bevel in here. And there's my bevel. And notice how the corner looks. See how, let's give it some more segments so you can see it's got this dish, but it's got this kind of sharp corner in here, and that might be exactly what you're looking for. But another way to do this, which might be more pleasing or in some way better for you, is to do these edges first. Be careful selecting loops on here because you might not like to have it wrap all the way around, so you're going to hold down Shift and maybe get each one of these corners. Oops, click away, get that one, we'll get this one. Now you can hit Control B and bring these in, you see, and you know, you decide how far out you want this to go, but I'm just going to bring it in just a tiny touch here, and I think that amount of segments there is just fine for what I want to do. And then I can pick this whole edge on the inside here now, and I can hit Control B and bring that out, and maybe that is a little bit more pleasing. And then remember, if you want to look at it in a little bit nicer view, you can just tab back into object mode and you can see, you know, does that look like how I want? And yeah, of course, if you want, you can throw on a matte cap, a shinier one here, and examine a little bit closer. These facets, I told you before, right, that we're going to deal with these. So this we can clean up, and that's coming up in a video pretty soon.